right, so this is just a quick video to talk about the 6-week follow-up appointment that you will be having after giving birth. So basically, after you give birth, they may call to check on you from your OB office. And at this point is when you should schedule your 6-week follow-up appointment. If they do not call to check on you, make sure that you schedule a follow-up appointment, which will be around the 6-week mark. And basically, this is your chance to see how much you've healed and ask and answer any questions that come up. So what's the purpose of the appointment? Since you haven't been seen by a doctor likely between birth and now, you're going to have, if you have a C-section, have your incision checked, check your vaginal area or perineal healing, especially if you've had stitches there. And then if there is any abnormalities with your healing, if you have granulation tissue, they can provide treatment if needed, or they can say, hold off, come back. You can have questions that you have answered. They will likely do a screening questionnaire for postpartum anxiety and depression because they do want to address those things if they've come up for you. So I recommend answering those questions very honestly. And a big part of the appointment is that they want to discuss and recommend birth control. So I'm not sure why that they're pushing the birth control thing so hard. I mean, for me personally, I felt that it was a big, from their point of view, purpose of this appointment. They asked, I think I had to decline birth control 3 different times. I'm not saying you all shouldn't be on birth control, but for me personally, I just didn't want to go back on a pill or any of the other options. So I kind of felt a little bit like I had to keep saying no, but you are your own advocate. So if you choose to not go with any of these methods, just feel free to say so. And you can say why or don't say why. It's your choice. But so I just did a little bit of research on Planned Parenthood regarding the effectiveness of the different birth control methods. So I just thought it was interesting and I thought I would share it with you. So it seems like the most effective birth control methods are IUDs and implants. I really don't have experience with the implants, but I know a lot of people who have IUDs and they're happy with them. I included a list of the current ones that are on the market right now in a text box on this module that I will update as needed. So as you can see, injection or the birth control shot, 94%. The ring, Nuva ring is one of the brands, 91%. The birth control patch, 91%. Pill, 91%. I thought the birth control pill was more effective than this. And I do think that maybe this percentage varies based on compliance, because I do know that taking it consistently matters. And a lot of the failures that come along with a lot of these birth control methods have to do with compliance and consistency. And of course, then there's the permanent birth control methods of getting your tubes tied, which is called tubal ligation, or vasectomy for our male friends. Other prevention methods, of course, condoms or pull-out method, or it's called the withdrawal method. Condoms are only 85% effective. I also think that has to do with user error. And then withdrawal method, probably same thing. And so 78%, so for the withdrawal method, for example, 78% effective means that out of 100 people who try this method, or 100 times this method is tried, there are 22 births that result from that. So 78% is not very good. And then along those lines too, natural family planning, which these things mean slightly different things, but natural family planning, fertility awareness methods, and the rhythm method are all basically the same concept of following your cycle, knowing when you're ovulating, and avoiding intercourse at your most fertile times in order to prevent pregnancy naturally without any unnatural interventions. But as you can see by the percentages, anywhere from 12 to 24 pregnancies result out of 100 for using these methods. So again, that is completely as a result of user error or the fact that this isn't a 100% perfect science following these methods. But a lot of people do them and a lot of people are successful with them. So if you really know what you're doing, have at it. So at your appointment, I do recommend, if you have any questions that come up, which I can't imagine you won't have questions that come up in the first 6 weeks postpartum, I really highly recommend that you write them down so that when you go to your appointment, you're not deer in headlights when they ask you if you have any questions, because you don't have the doctor's attention for that long. And this is your chance to ask. So these are some just suggested questions, sample questions. Is my level of bleeding normal? Let them know how long you've been bleeding for, if you still are bleeding, and they can give you advice on this. When can I come back if I want more follow-up for my healing? Like if they say that you're not quite healed, ask for another appointment and see if you can get one. For me, it kind of worked out because my yearly exam was due about the next month. So I was able to come back and get checked again, which was nice. And then of course, like two of the main reasons why you're there at the appointment is to get cleared for regular exercising and for sex. And you want to ask, like, do you think it's safe for either one? And then for exercising, at what level would they think that you would be safe? And ultimately, they may not know exactly the answer, but it's good to get their opinion. What else? When should I get evaluated by a pelvic floor specialist? So when I asked this at my appointment, because I said, I know I have a diastasis, it was diagnosed between my first and second pregnancies. So when should I start seeing a pelvic floor specialist? And they didn't recommend me doing so until the 12-week mark. That was my doctor's recommendation. Ask your doctor what they think, and go from there. Questions that you have about mental health. Like I said, they're probably going to do a mental health questionnaire with you, but any questions about medications that you may want to go on, how they may impact breastfeeding if you chose to breastfeed, those may be really valuable to ask at this time. Which birth control method is best for me? Maybe they have an opinion on that based on your personal experience and tendencies. And I asked, because I wasn't interested in birth control methods, about vasectomy, and they gave me some information about vasectomy because that is the method that we're going to go with. And they were helpful. So that's basically a 6-week appointment. It is for clearing you for exercise and sex, and basically to talk about birth control options. So, but at this point, hopefully this appointment was reassuring, and that you have done the majority of your healing so far, hopefully, and you've come a long way in the last 6 weeks. And, also though, if you haven't fully healed by this point, or mostly healed, it's good information to know. And then you can schedule a follow-up appointment after that. Just advocate for yourself, because you want to continue to support your own healing so you can get back to yourself. All right. That is it for this video. And the next one we're going to do is a 4th trimester timeline, where we're basically going to go through week by week for the first 10 weeks and talk just generally about what to expect with rest and recovery in each of those weeks. See you then.